1, 2, 3. Hello.
Hey.
We're back, and what did we just watch? We watched a movie from Emma's list, and that was...
American Psycho. Yeah.
Which she said that I was going to love.
Okay, yeah, because vocal reactions, maybe not so much, but, they hadn't seen it. What did you think?
Oh, I was referring to the fact that you just said that I was going to love it because you said that I am
because
very
I said-
much like this character.
I did not mean to say that. I meant to say that he would likely like this character because they have similar interests.
Very good.
You like murder
I do like
for
murder.
different reasons. You
Yeah.
don't have to
Well,
murder
hopefully.
people. You like, being advanced in your own field and presenting yourself as
Tristan has a
well
cool
as you
demeanor and he's
can.
all business, just like...
He is simply not there.
I should have worn my suit to this.
You should have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah. What did you think?
We'll finally answer Emma's question.
Yes, I
What did we think?
I want to know. I mean, obviously we're gonna get into it, but overall, did you enjoy it? Because I got a weird vibe from you.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, I would say, like, 2/3 of the way through, and then the last third, I thought was, like, it was
Kind of
very
ridiculous.
abrupt and, like, a little...
Supposed to be.
Yeah, it was very abrupt and, like, I don't know if it was, like, merited, like, it seems like I almost missed something.
Mm-hmm.
The third
And
act's hard to
then,
pull off in a movie.
Yeah, and then it also was like a little, I thought the rest of it was kind of believable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say that was a little much for me at
Yeah.
the end, and we could talk about it more.
Because Bateman's descent into his own insanity is so fast. It just
Yeah,
happens
it
so
almost
quickly.
wasn't a descent. It was like
A drop
Well,
off.
it's more
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
he's been descending this whole time, and just one little thing like just makes him
Yeah.
all
Was
come
it-
apart.
When did you start feeling that way? Was it after he killed the hooker, or was it when he was putting the cat
No,
into the ATM?
no.
'Cause usually that's when-
it's the when he shoots the
Old lady.
old lady.
Yeah, when he's putting
and
the
then
cat
from
in the
then on
ATM.
out, I'm just like
Because that's the
not
exact
with
moment
it.
that drop off happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Because it's a little surreal.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, it just felt like too abrupt and too like I didn't feel like they led me to that point. Like I didn't
Yeah.
even believe that he would necessarily have the gun on him
Yeah.
to shoot the lady
The
or the
movie's
cat.
the movie is ridiculously ambiguous, which is why I like it personally.
Mm-hmm.
I love movies that let me interpret things the way that I want to interpret them, and that I like movies that also like I get drawn back to watch again, which this movie, it was like that for me the first time I saw it. I watched it over and over again.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to pay attention to different things, and I think maybe one of the first times I watched it, I was just confused.
Yeah,
I guess,
yeah.
which is totally normal. But watching it again, you kind of know what's going to happen, and so you can see
Pay a little.
the little ticks that happen and things that set him off. Because
Right.
Christian Bale does a really good job in this movie of like, even though his character himself doesn't feel anything, you can see all the negative emotions like coming out of him. I didn't realize how much Christian Bale, I know he probably didn't actually sweat that much, but I wonder what they did
Yeah.
to make him look like he was
Just blast him
perspiring
with
the
like
whole
really
time.
with heat lamps or something.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
big-
special spray bottles
It's
for
a
that.
really big giveaway for when he's having this crisis internally. But it's
Just
really
like fake
interesting.
blood, there are fake sweat mixtures.
Yeah.
It's not,
That's
water.
No, but that was, yeah. But I don't think you're wrong for feeling that way.
Yeah, there was just like a lot of like little things where it was like I think there's like a difference between, so like there's like ambiguous where it's like, you feel that the directors and the writers, like the content creators are in control and that they know what it is, but that it's like a puzzle for the audience to figure out, whereas this felt at times ambiguous for the sake of ambiguity.
Yeah.
And I
The
don't
director
like things
actually
like that.
doesn't like the ending of this movie.
Yeah.
The director, it's a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is actually a female-directed movie. You don't get a lot of those.
Which is
and-
interesting. I would, watching that movie, I don't know. I feel like so many, like, Tarantino-y dudes, like, love this movie. And it feels like this was just, like, a Tarantino clone at some points. And so to find out it's directed by a woman is very interesting to me because that felt
Well,
like...
I liked this movie, so
Yeah.
it wasn't
And
a Tarantino movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it felt
Yeah,
like it had
there's-
that like very masculine Tarantino-y style.
Supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to see that, like, you know, I don't know. I would have said guy director 100
Definitely.
times. So it was. I looked up on the IMDb while we were watching it too, and that surprised me. I was going to bring it up.
Yeah,
So-
I wrote it down because I wasn't sure, like, maybe it's a guy named Mary, like in Psych.
No, it is a woman. It's
Um,
a female-directed movie.
But yeah, no,
so-
I was very excited to see that we actually got a female-directed movie because there really needs to be more of those.
I agree. I had a really sad realization the other day when I was on an acting subreddit or a movie subreddit or something, and they were asking people what performances in the past 10 years in film have moved you or that stood out to you. And I listed a few of them, and I realized none of them included women, which made me sad. Because
Yeah.
they're well-written scenes.
Yeah.
It has less to do with the fact that the character
Yeah.
is a male, but more so to do with the way
There's
that
not
it's written.
enough like parts that are worthy
Meaty.
of quality acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of meaty. I mean, there is, but the
not-
ones that
not the
stuck
same
with
level.
me, no.
Yeah. No, I think that's true.
Unfortunately, let's change that, fellas. Let's change that.
Right, I will become a woman.
Okay,
Doing my part.
you're halfway there.
You heard it here first, people.
You are a lesbian.
I already got the voice, so good to go.
But yeah, the ending.
Okay, maybe I should
Yeah.
just come out and ask it. What is the ending
That's okay. So
to you?
to me personally, I think that he did legitimately commit these acts, but I don't think he killed Paul Allen. Either that or, okay, so everyone in this movie, all the men have a very similar look. There's like this conformity in the society. If you haven't noticed on their business cards, they're all vice presidents.
Yeah.
Everybody has the same
Yeah.
job title. Everybody has nearly the same hair color, wearing glasses, behave the same way. And I think that when he asks the lawyer or tells the lawyer, like, I killed Paul Allen, I did this.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's impossible because I had lunch with Paul Allen in London 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Maybe that wasn't actually Paul Allen.
Yeah, it definitely was not.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and the lawyer we've established the lawyer has trouble remembering names because he doesn't remember Patrick Bateman's
Yeah.
name.
So I do think that these things happen. To me, the drop-off part where the ATM tells him to put the kitten inside of the ATM
Yeah.
is kind of when I think it walks a line between being in his head and he has these fantasies that he hallucinates or imagines and it's portrayed on the film and things that actually happen. Like when he's having a conversation with the woman in the club and he says, I'm really into murders and executions. And she's like,
Excellent.
murders and acquisitions.
Yeah.
Did he
But-
really say that? Did
Yeah.
With that misunderstanding, I think he did say that
Yeah.
one.
I think all of this stuff is true. I think like that's like a central theme of the movie is like society wanting to look away
Yeah.
from horrors like that, and that's what it is. You see it with everybody. So the girl in the club says that. You know, he even like admits stuff to the Reese Witherspoon character, his fiance, and she won't.
Yeah.
You know,
don't acknowledge
when
it.
when he's drawing on the table and he's drawing the chainsaw in the middle of the woman on the table,
Yeah.
and she's like more concerned about their breakup.
They're
like
all
that's
superficial.
the one
and
thing that I liked about this movie. Although you know, I think at some point it was
There's only one thing you like about the movie?
that's like a major like that I thought was like had a little depth to it was the idea of like everybody tries so hard to not see him as a very obvious murderer.
everybody.
Like-
Well, that's where when
Like-
I thought that they were going in the direction like he never actually killed these
Oh,
people.
no.
I was
No,
just
he
like,
did.
He
maybe
definitely-
it makes sense that people aren't really seeing.
To
No,
me,
he
to
killed
me,
all
it's
those
like
people.
more of a payoff in a way at the end that the one thing that he's craving, realistically, is to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
Like that what he's doing is real.
Yeah.
And in that way, it would kind of release him from this tension that's building up. But everybody is so self-involved and
Yeah.
unaware of anybody else's life
Mm-hmm.
that even though he actually did commit these acts and
Yeah.
admits to it, the real horror of the ending or the movie,
Yeah.
the climax, is that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that's kind of
Right.
what he realizes.
Yeah.
You know, the ending is that he sees that, okay, because, you know, and he even talks about it at the beginning, it's like he wants to create this, like, facade, and that's why he looks the same as everybody. He has the same haircut. He looks exactly like Paul Allen, the Jared Leto character. and all that stuff, and he cares so much about his business card being the best business card because he wants to fit in, and then at the end he realized like that's his fatal flaw is that he fit in so much, and now he wants to be recognized for his crimes, but he can't because he's fit in so well that nobody can imagine someone who is in his position, has his amount of money, has his lifestyle, could possibly do these horrendous acts.
And every person in the movie, when they're speaking to Patrick Bateman, not knowing it's Patrick Bateman, refer to Bateman as like a square.
Yeah. They're like, oh, he's like, yeah, and that's where the Huey Lewis and the News song, which I did write down as a note, is like, I wonder if Huey Lewis saw this movie for the first time and was like, oh, what the fuck? Like,
Phil Collins and Whitney Houston too.
Yeah, but that one I think is the most famous one, is the Huey Lewis and the News, and I can't imagine having that song and just being like proud of your pop song and like
I would
thinking like it's just gonna be a fun pop song for the rest of your life, and now the most famous thing associated with Huey Lewis and the News is a murder sequence, which is murder. You have to assume the last thing Huey Lewis and the News wanted out of their music.
Can we talk about that scene, because I fucking love that scene.
What did I write?
Yeah.
I said, yes, I should really watch more murders overlaid with catchy music.
Make them.
But nobody, I mean...
Alex, whenever we make a murder scene, there needs to be catchy music.
Because it's just going to be this and then Tarantino. Those are the two people who do it, and I don't want to do that.
I think that we should
There's
definitely
too
find
many,
some good murders
like,
and overlay catchy music.
masculine dudes who love murders to catchy music.
They
do
like
it.
this
The real
it's done
Patrick
well
Bateman's
in this
out there.
movie.
It is done well in this movie.
But it's done well in Reservoir Dogs. But that doesn't.
Yeah.
See, I've never seen that movie.
See, I like
You should.
in that one scene.
This was new. This was a new technique to
When
me
he's cutting the ear off the guy.
Funky music.
to murder and everything. Because again, I'm not a Tarantino fan.
Gotcha.
So.
Well, you liked it this time around.
I did.
Yeah.
But the descent into insanity during that scene, and I'm just Christian Bale blows me away in this movie.
He's very, very good. That
He's
is like
so good, and that's where I want to bring up really quick now that I'm remembering it, even though you fucking said it during the movie. For those of you who don't know, Christian Bale based a good part of this character on Tom Cruise. After watching an interview on David Letterman, he's like...
He said he copied the mannerisms
there was just so much energy outwardly, but the eyes were dead.
Yeah.
And you see that.
Yeah.
That's really hard to do.
Yeah, it's hard to do. And, okay, another piece of acting tidbits that you probably know. If you were reading about this movie, I just find this so fascinating. And having watched the movie now, knowing what was going on with Willem Dafoe's character...
Sure.
So the director, every scene that Willem Dafoe and Christian Bale have on film together, she had Willem Dafoe do every single scene 3 different ways. 1, he knew Patrick Bateman killed Paul Allen. 2, he did not know Patrick Bateman killed Paul Allen. And 3, he suspected that Patrick Bateman killed Paul Allen. And took all of those takes and mixed them up to further confuse the audience. It's very interesting to watch because if you're an actor, you can definitely see which one he's doing, and it really does jump back and forth between all the scenes.
That's the kind of ambiguity that I do not like.
I like it
because that means the director doesn't know which one.
Yes, well
maybe she doesn't want to know.
I know, but why?
That doesn't really do justice to the book because the book has a pretty solid ending.
Yeah.
And she does. She's not happy with the way that played out. But I think it's an interesting experiment to do on film, and I liked the way that.
What's the ending of the book?
I haven't read it myself.
Oh, you just
but
read that it's.
Yeah, the ending is more solid and secure in the idea that this was not in Patrick Bateman's head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's clearer.
Yeah.
It's a lot more
clear.
I
definitely think there's no way to interpret this where it's in his head. I don't see that argument at all.
I think you could make the argument if you really wanted to.
Yeah. To me, what I had more trouble with is like the idea that like they went too far on like the things he's able to do and not get caught. Like I like that message of like, you know, people don't want to see the kind of dark side of, you know, people, and even the idea like you make him a stockbroker because like the atrocities that Wall Street commits on a daily basis are sometimes akin to murder, and that we tend to look away and hold stockbrokers or rich people essentially in like some high regard despite the types of things they're doing, and so I like that as a message, but like when he blows up a cop car,
that's the point in which I think you could start to believe that this is in his head.
Yeah, but then the rest of the movie points to it not being in his head. So you have
why can't you
really
have both?
one scene where like he blows up a cop car, and I don't think you can like pick and choose. Certain parts are in his head and certain parts aren't, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, I personally don't see a reason as to why you couldn't believe that he committed all the things before that moment, and then at that point he was descending so quickly that he started imagining these things.
Imagining. It really
Book
was
ends
just,
exactly
him.
the exact same way. It's the same in the book.
Yeah.
Just looked it up.
But you probably know more because.
It's more detailed, and
yeah.
you have more of an insight into his mind, and there's proof that he committed the murders in the book.
Yeah.
It is a lot more ambiguous. But I like it. I do.
So, do you believe that this movie deserves to be on your top 25?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will always go back and watch this movie for multiple reasons.
Very good, very good.
I mean, the whole payoff of the movie for me is the monologue that Bale has on the phone when he's admitting to the murders.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is...
It was very well acted.
Yeah, I struggle to be able to describe how I feel while watching that, because Christian Bale, everything that I've ever seen him in, he's a very versatile actor, but you can always recognize him in a role.
Yeah.
But he really does completely fall mentally and physically into whatever is being portrayed on film. Like, you can literally hear his throat closing up.
Right.
In that scene. And I just, yeah, it's a very powerful performance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
yeah, I think he does really a majority of the work in this movie.
He does.
And like makes, I would say kind of as a whole, which maybe it's too soon for this portion, that movie is like what I think is like not a very tight movie, but has like very high highs. Like the few scenes, the hit to be square, the killing of Paul Allen, like is so well done. And like you said, his phone call is so well done. And like out of context, I really like those scenes.
Yeah.
In context, sometimes
It takes
like
too long to get to those.
or just even as like there's low moments or like things that I can't really explain or that seem so like not solid that I go, all right, well the movie as a whole is not like great for me, but some of those things and all of his acting, like you said, like the little facial tics and stuff, are so like crisp. He really carries that film.
It's mesmeric and calculated is kind of how I want to describe his performance. Everything he does is very calculated, as Patrick Bateman would have done.
And in the scenes, with whatever the scene calls for, he blows out of the water. Now, whether or not I think that it makes sense that a character would do those things as he was happening, I don't know. But with what Christian Bale has to work with, he kills it.
Yeah,
I could have done with 2 more murder scenes.
There's less murder than I
There
haven't
was less
watched
murder
this
than I
movie
thought.
for at least a couple years. And I kind of agree with you that the highs are really high, but there are some transitional scenes where you're kind of establishing the other relationships that he has with people that he works with.
Right.
And like the scene leading up to him having sex with the 2 hookers is a little slower.
Right.
But at the same time, I really enjoyed those slower moments.
I do. It's just I feel like 1 more murder would have been too few. 3 more murders would have been too much. 2 more murders in this movie would have just been great for me.
I don't know if I needed 2 scenes where he has like a threesome and he murders them the second time, or there's just like a lot of like him, either inviting women over or like hitting on women and then eventually murdering them. Like it seemed almost gratuitous. Like, okay, I get the point of Patrick Bateman is that he likes to murder women and he is also a stockbroker, and before he murders them he does a long speech about whatever music he puts on.
I love
and it's
it.
like, we got that basically like 3 to 4 times. And like,
I guess there's 2 ways you can feel about it, man.
Yeah, like I felt like, you know, they did such a good job when he kills Paul Allen establishing exactly that I didn't necessarily need that 3 more times. And then because we do that so many times, his like descent when he starts falling apart and crumbling seems rushed because we spent a third of the movie of just him explaining different pop songs to different victims.
Well, if the scenes back to back to back of him doing that become a little, like when before he kills Paul Allen and he's talking about Huey Lewis in the news, he has this energy and excitement that's palpable. And the aggression in which he murders Paul Allen it explodes. I like the scene with the 2 hookers when he brings them in. I also think it's interesting that he has a cheap hooker and a call girl. It's very interesting. I don't know why. But I like that small detail. And I kind of like seeing Patrick Bateman put in a place, like him putting himself in a place of power where he kind of sees these 2 women as just toys. And telling her to like wash herself in the bathtub and instructing them. And it's a little more calculated, a little slower, and you can kind of see his anxiousness to start, but he kind of wants to have this methodical way about killing them.
Right.
And then it becomes shorter again when he's talking about Whitney Houston, and then he can't hold off anymore and murders the woman as he's going down on her. Like, it just... There is a descent.
It's not think, as like, well... a little... And in some ways, too, I think that, like, I wrote down about, like, his, like... confusing like what type of murder, like I feel like he's every type of murder at once. So like at one time he talks about like I have, you know, no feelings, like all I feel is like disgust. And then you have the other scene, so you go, okay, well that person, that like profile for a murderer would never have sex with the victims. Right? Would just kill them because he has only contempt for them. But then does have sex with them.
I don't think he understands.
Some ways, but some of the times it's like it looks like he's enjoying regular sex, but then the other time that's one where he's just looking at himself in the mirror. But I thought that his like, you know, before he's explaining his fitness regimen and stuff as just like part of the mask. So if it's part of the mask, then why is he turned on by his own muscles? Is he turned on by the mask? And it's like, we're just like, it was very muddled, I thought.
Like he's just turned on by himself in control.
And like himself fitting in and being this perfect image of what he wants to be. Like, he wants to be Paul Allen.
But I don't think he wants to be. He is competitive with Paul Allen. But like competitive because he feels like he has to. I think to like cover. And that's what I'm saying. I thought that like, it was like, okay, we do a scene and it's like, what's the most psychotic thing that Patrick Bateman can do in the scene that he hasn't done in the last scene? And then we pick a psychotic thing. He's like, okay, so in the last one, you know, it was the raincoat and the axe. But in this one, it can't be a raincoat and an axe. It's got to be like a different crazy thing. Because we got to do it. We got to up the stakes.
Also, so a more believable way for him to have killed multiple people because he wouldn't be recognized as a serial killer because most serial killers have a...
Well, but nobody ever found any of the bodies. So we don't even know. They did, though.
I have the suspicion that the realtor
found
selling the house to not decrease the market value of this penthouse on whatever fucking street and
found the bodies and hid the bodies
and cleaned them. If you watch the scene between her and Bateman,
she knows he's the murderer, but doesn't want to admit.
She knows.
I think that's an interesting theory. So you could say, but all those bodies, but then she does catch him. So he is caught by one person, right? And so then in which case the difference, like he doesn't kill them in different ways. I don't think in any way we can establish that he kills them in different ways to like throw off a cop.
No, I don't think so. I think he just, to me, Patrick Bateman is a very unfleshed out serial killer. He thinks that he has no emotions, but he does. He thinks he knows how to kill women and how he wants to do it, but he doesn't. And that to me is... how you
phrased that. No, you think you know how to kill women, but...
Well, I think it's scarier that he doesn't have control over this thing that he thinks he has control over. And he starts losing it. And you can see he's crying on the phone and chewing his pills down. His like, I don't know what kind of pills they were.
I don't know if they ever even say.
There's this close up on the pill bottle.
Oh, they do. You're right.
And then when he's on the phone at the end, he's just chewing them down because I think he wants to be more in control of everything.
Yeah.
But he's not, and that's terrifying.
I think, to me, it just very much read as like them trying to up their own stakes. Like less thought of like who Patrick Bateman is as a character and like who these people are, and more like, you know, they wanted to make like a horror film, and in a horror film, you don't always, you know, like when you think back to Oculus, right, in the mirror, it's like the way that the mirror fucks with the people is not like necessarily calculated. It's just, you know, to mess with them, but at least the rules of the mirror are clear and like what its powers are. But I felt that Patrick Bateman's like
Didn't have defined.
He didn't have defined rules or even like, you know, it was just like we need to up the gore. So even when you talk about like when he's killing the hooker and then suddenly has a chainsaw. Where was that chainsaw in the bedroom? What when he's going down the girl and he starts stabbing her? Is he biting her? Can he kill someone with biting?
He was biting her, and
I think like to be able to fully murder someone with only your teeth before they get away would be nearly impossible. So then he's stabbing them, but somehow he's now like prison put a shiv in his asshole? Like I don't know.
Well, I mean, this movie is clearly not grounded in reality.
And then she's out of the room for like 12 seconds. He's got a chainsaw, and it's like,
and there's no one else on the floor. And he's running around with a fucking chainsaw, and nobody seems to hear it, but I like that.
Are you expecting this movie to be grounded in reality?
I think at points they want to pretend that it's grounded. Like, and like
that's
some
the thing.
of the scenes...
I think it started out as grounded in reality, but the movie itself never established that this film is grounded in reality.
I think that they want it, like the openings and like the idea of like we're going to profile what a modern serial killer is. Like this is the idea of like, you know, these serial killers that are walking among us, and they're not ugly people.
Patrick Bateman is his own entity, and I don't even want to define him as a serial killer. He's just psychotic.
He's kind of a serial killer.
Yeah, he definitely would be defined as a serial killer.
But not a methodical serial killer.
No, I don't think so either. But, like, I think that you can, like... I guess I just think that they place like visuals.
What is the definition of serial killer? Let's
look
this up real quick.
It's like killed more than 3 people.
Yeah, is it just the number of people that you kill?
Well, I don't know if that's the only thing that...
Because I feel like people who are considered serial killers have...
like a method.
A calling card or a method that you can recognize.
Because like a lot of them don't.
Okay, it says, and this is just Webster's... A person who commits a series of murders, often with no apparent motive, and typically following a characteristic, predictable behavior pattern.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't think Patrick Bateman has a pattern, though.
He doesn't really have a pattern.
Aside from the music.
Aside from Alan, who he puts his emphasis over any other victim, because you know when he talks about other victims, the women and the hookers and stuff, and it's always women. He's talking about women. Except for Paul Allen, because to him that was like his mistake. He considers Paul Allen to be something, you know, out of characteristic for him. Which is
why I also don't think possibly that he killed Paul Allen. It's totally up in the air for me. I don't know. I know he killed all the hookers and the quote-unquote fag in the park.
Well,
and
how else would he be in Paul Allen's apartment for like half the movie?
Well, I mean, if he can murder Paul Allen, I think he can sneak into Paul Allen's apartment.
And he's in London.
Yeah. But, yeah, and so he thinks he's in London. But he leaves the message. The only reason we know that he's in London is because...
Or did he? Or did he hear that actual message, and then fabricate himself repeating it in an impression? I don't know.
That is possible.
That's what I like about this movie. I like
He's
movies
clearly not completely sane.
People can have different...
That's not a puzzle, though. That's just like
Why not?
weird,
Why can't a movie be a puzzle?
Pixar connected. Because that's not like a puzzle has to have a complete
First of all, the Pixar movies are all connected.
It's like just a weird fan theory, or like all the Rugrats are dead. Like those.
Well, that
are like
one's stupid.
Not.
Yeah.
That's what.
But here's the thing: I don't watch this movie to figure out what's going on with Patrick Bateman. I watched this movie for Christian Bale's performance.
Yeah.
I watched the movie for the ambiguity, and I think
it has seemed like most of your movies on your list are driven by actor performances.
Yeah, well,
which is great. I wasn't trying to.
No, I know.
I wasn't trying to get a big light bulb moment or anything.
Shocker.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
I like movies that leave me feeling
like you want to
I'm
commit a
still
murder.
on the edge of my seat, that I want to watch it again, and I also think visually this movie is really interesting.
There's some interesting visual moments.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
I've seen more visual.
I do.
Yeah, but I like this movie is a very unique look to it.
We talked about it. I noted it. It's an early scene. It's right after he talks about being different, and then he's in the cab, and you see
definitely
Reese
feels more like
Witherspoon, and then he's behind a partition, and I'm like, they really want to beat me over the head. It's like he's different. Here's the partition. Like
visually, yes, I will agree. This definitely feels more modern than an early 2000s movie, which it was. It was shot in 2000, so
I felt a lot about like kind of what we said about The Princess Bride. It's like, okay, some of these visuals and stuff to me seem like overdone, like very cliche.
Yeah.
But in some ways, I think that most of those movies are attempting to recreate this movie. Like they're the ones that start. It's the idea of like, you know, his apartment being all white and all the knives, you know, being set and like him being very meticulous and like that idea of like the modern killer being super meticulous. And you go, okay, like I've seen this before. Like Sonny does it all the time, and like all kinds of like modern serial killers. But it's like, okay, but if this is the first one, which it really is, you know, then they invented that trope. So then, although I can be tired of these visuals, this is the first one.
Original.
So in 2000, it was groundbreaking, and so I'll give it credit for that type of thing. Because
I get what you're saying. Like you've seen these things.
Because now it's really cliche.
It's
but
not special.
Yeah, the way that Princess Bride's fantasy, I'm like, oh, this is so tired.
No.
I'm glad you brought up Princess Bride.
No, I
might be a little out of line in saying this.
What?
But I think the women in this movie are still somehow more empowering than they were in the Princess Bride.
Yeah.
We're dealing with hookers, and they're still more like, go get them, girl, than Princess Buttercup.
Are real women too.
That's all I have to say on that matter.
There's some really nicely constructed scenes. The opening monologue that he has, it's iconic.
Yeah.
I don't know if you recognized it, but at least in my world,
it's.
I like the credits.
Very iconic.
I like the opening credits.
I've seen.
I was thinking during
the opening credits felt like a mixture.
Dexter?
Well, it felt like a mixture of Dexter and Coraline. The opening of both those movies.
It to me made me think about the Hannibal TV show, which has like that like heavy like murder food allegory and like the like
because
very
we're all just
meticulous-
meat.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like, did you? Yeah, when he's just writing meat.
There was something satisfying about the part where the knife just went straight into the steak.
Yeah,
I liked that.
That was interesting.
That nice
I love when he's
thud.
sitting on the couch in his office doing the crossword, and he has this really weird, like,
he's wearing
physical.
sunglasses.
He's wearing sunglasses. He's sweaty. He's got this weird, awkward stance on the couch, and he's talking to. I can never remember her name, Chloë Sevigny's character, and he's just like, all fucked up.
And then she agrees to go to dinner with him, which really drives home the thesis of this film, because I would never agree to have dinner with Patrick Bateman. I mean, he immediately seems like a murderer to me.
I would definitely have dinner with him.
Well, maybe you don't get the charm of that he has on women.
I mean, the charm he has on women where he's like, wear high heels and something sexier.
I was disappointed that she listened to him.
She cares about him.
But
that's a big thing in this movie, is that she cares about him. And in the end, I do think
still more empowering than Buttercup.
Patrick Bateman consciously did not kill her. I don't think it was just the phone call that had stopped. Okay. What?
Goodbye to that camera.
You don't think he would have killed her?
No, I don't. It's an interesting scene to rewatch again.
Yeah.
If you see the conflict happening behind his eyes when he's standing there with the gun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I do like how when she finally does snap and decide to actually investigate him, she's back in a wardrobe that she's comfortable with. Like she's now wearing longer pants and not high heels. So I liked in that scene.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
There's some good little like I said, there's some good little things, like smart little things like that. Like somebody took some care with the movie, but I think
and someone drew those things.
Yeah.
In the Notebook. I always think about that.
So, that is true.
I have gone back, paused the movie, and looked at
all the...
They are fucking creepy.
It's almost comical. It reminded me of the super bad dick drawing scene. Where you're like somebody flipping through. Because like you may like, because for us, as audience members in this movie, it's like a pretty big moment. We're like, okay, maybe she's going to figure out he's a murderer. But realistically, what she's going to think is like, this is so fucking weird. And this is be like, my boss is a weirdo.
Actual Chloë Sevigny probably found it pretty cool because she's weird.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
I figured that you'd find the direction of this movie to be a little frustrating.
Yeah, it's just inconsistent.
I agree. It is
I think a lot of the story, like I don't think they're coming, like the director's approaching it from like a story aspect. Yeah. They're approaching it from like a visual and a, I don't know, what's the next, even like we were just talking about the meat and bone thing.
I wish I could read, I have not read the book and I wish I had because maybe
Easton Ellis
there is too much
or whatever, the guy who wrote the book is, I believe, not a great person. Like, I feel like...
Shocker.
Does that mean he doesn't make great art?
No, well, but, like, it just, like, seems like this movie, like, in his mind, Patrick Bateman is sympathetic. And I think it's weird to...
Remember that,
read or write something where, like, the person writing them, like, thinks in any way that this character could be not even redeemable, but, like, cool.
Understandable.
Like, he's, like...
It's kind of like that film at the film festival that we saw.
Yeah, exactly.
We won't drop names here.
Yeah. When we did Hospitality, one of the films at that film festival is the same way. It's like basically they made a film where the Patrick Bateman character was, like, the hero, or like we all wish we could act out like this, but we never would.
I don't think he's the hero in this
movie.
Well,
I think in this movie, I've heard. So I haven't read the book, and maybe I'm wrong, but I've heard from people and from basically the way like this writer has spoken publicly and like his other work that like this character would maybe be a bit too cool in the book. I've had not a lot of interest in this because of the author and things I've read about him and that kind of idea of like, we're back to it. Zack Snyder.
Drink.
Drink everybody. Zack Snyder recently did an interview where he was talking about Batman and Superman and his Justice League killing people, and somebody asked him about that. And he said, in the real world, Superman would kill people, grow up. And I was like, in the real world? Like, it's Superman. There is no in the real world. And basically what that reads to me is that Zack Snyder believes if he had the power of a god, he would kill people all the time. And, like, because he's a psychopath. And I feel the same way about...
Okay, how do we... Like, I understand you don't like the guy's movies, and now he's a psychopath.
Yeah. He is.
Your hatred of Zack Snyder just...
Because
it
he
escalates every time.
In this interview that if he had Superman's powers, he would kill people all the time. Because he believes that everybody is like him and that he is the nicest person. And he's like, if I had Superman's powers, I would kill a lot of people. And everyone is worse than me, so everybody with Superman's powers would kill people. He can't
I get what you're saying. I mean, I've created terrible, terrible characters. And like you're not supposed to like these characters. Yeah. They're horrible.
You're
they're
not
evil.
Supposed to, and you're not supposed to take them as like
being role models or being cool.
Or like I want to get out my like inner desires, so I'm going to pour my inner desires into this character who's a bad character.
Is that really bad?
I would say
put your darker...
I have said it before and I'll say it again.
I would say that if you're...
All writers are psychopaths that have found a creative outlet.
If your inner desires are like...
To kill people?
Murdering hordes of women who you think are worse than you. Like...
You think that the author of American Psycho feels that way?
Yeah.
That's an assumption.
I haven't read the book, so maybe I'm wrong, but that's like just like people like reviews and people that have talked about him and all that stuff. This is what
I think that makes our job easier as film critiques.
Yeah.
Film critics.
And I don't necessarily think that that's evident in the movie.
We are the critiques.
Luckily, but I do.
Bateman that way.
I don't think that the people in charge creatively of this movie, although I believe he was one of the script writers, credited at least, so he had did some work on the script. He was one of the writers, and I don't think it's super evident in the script, although I do think at some points, the movie can leave itself open to like that kind of like catharsis. Mm-hmm. So when you watch the hip to be square scene, I don't think people like Paulina, or even like, I mean, I caught myself doing a little bit when the maitre d' calls to get a reservation in the restaurant, and the maitre d' laughs at him. I was like, well, if he kills that guy, I'm okay.
Right.
And like, in some ways I think that the movie like lends itself to that, but has like a serious enough tone that maybe you shouldn't feel that way, and that maybe it shouldn't be shot in a way in which you're rooting for Bateman.
Right.
I think, you always kind of be wanting to root for him to get caught.
See, I'm just watching this spectacle happen on film. Like, that's all it is for me, is I like seeing this unraveling of a person that
I like that his last name is Bateman.
Batman?
Yeah, it's
Bateman.
Psycho.
Bateman, go Batman. Oh, I know.
Like
It's a
Bateman
Psycho
from
reference.
Psycho
I gotcha,
reference.
I
Yeah, it is a Psycho reference.
I was just thinking, I like that it's Bateman to Batman.
Yeah, I guess that's fine too.
It's kind of funny.
You both
I know
seen
what you were
Psycho?
saying, but
I have not seen Psycho.
No? Oh, that's
It's very high on my list. I
should
got
definitely
really
put-
excited because I have HBO Go, and I saw it on HBO Go, and I was like, I'm gonna watch this, and then it turned out to be the Vince Vaughn one.
Damn it.
Yeah.
gross.
So.
Hitchcock all the way.
Ew.
Yeah. I mean.
Ew.
Yeah.
I have a few notes, and I've
let's
gotten to
hear
like
'em.
none of them. So I'm gonna just go over these lists really quickly because some of these don't
you
even
don't
lend
have
to
do it
discussions.
Too quickly.
It's not gonna be like it wasn't the Hook discussion.
Okay.
We'll stop if we need something we want to talk more about.
I do respect a man who takes care of himself, so I liked his facial mask and everything. That was
True.
nice.
Apricot scrub.
I also like doing a facial mask, so.
I know. I
Yeah, those black charcoal ones. Tristan came by
We
one time.
should do face
Yeah,
masks.
Tristan came by one time. And we were like, I can't remember what I was doing. Oh, we were talking about shooting Fancy Feast.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I'm gonna come by and check out the place, and I had the charcoal on my
I
face.
love it.
Yep.
Yeah, I love those.
I like
things.
myself a good hyaluronic.
Um, but I liked how his morning routine, like, I could have sworn it was going to go subtly, or they were just going to gloss over suddenly that he's murdering someone in his morning routine.
I swear, and this is inappropriate, so cut this if you have to.
Not going to.
I also said it in the behind the
did.
scenes. I thought 100% he was gonna jerk off somewhere in that scene, because that's how those scenes are always shot. We have like the murderer, and they like care a lot about their like appearance and being calm and
Yeah.
being calculating, and like part of the way that they stay calm and calculating
by jerking
is
off.
immediately jerk off in the morning. And the fact that I was so sure it was gonna happen that when they didn't do it, I was like, well, maybe this movie isn't gonna be all cliches. Because that was the most
don't think
cliche
it's
thing you
all
could do.
cliches.
No, and it wasn't, because he doesn't jerk off in that scene.
I really did think it was going to cut to someone just getting
yeah.
murdered, like in his morning routine.
Yeah, that scene.
So I actually did like that fact.
Yeah.
I don't care for mineral water, so I strongly
that
disagreed with his character when he asked for mineral water.
Sparkly water.
That's sparkling water.
Yeah.
I like
Speaking
it.
of
No, that defeats the purpose of water.
They also say at one point they were like reading off the menu in that first scene where they're going over the specials, and
Yeah.
one of the specials is Swordfish Meatloaf.
Yes.
Swordfish Meatloaf, which I don't know if that's an 80s thing.
I love the
Or if
overlapping
it's
of
just-
that
yeah.
that line when they're reading
Yeah.
the specials. I love that part of the
I like that too, but Swordfish Meatloaf really set me off because what the
nasty.
fuck?
Disgusting.
Why would any fancy restaurant serve swordfish meatloaf? And I don't know if that's like
Maybe it's better.
no.
I mean,
I
come on,
love-
they
I don't
have
know if that's-
snails.
I
don't
like
know-
the food in this movie,
Yeah,
the way
I-
that
I
it's talked about and displayed on the plates.
Food matters. Yeah.
It's an interesting it's an interesting what the fuck.
Yeah, like yeah.
interesting what the
I'd say
fuck?
fancier
A
fancier
tool in the
places
movie
make.
Yeah,
or
they used to kind of. I mean, like reservations are such a big deal.
yeah.
And
With
business cards.
Mm-hmm.
Which I did not buy that business card scene.
I
was
love
like,
that
That
scene.
to me was
Yeah,
like,
you wouldn't even let me get water
like,
in
it
that
was
scene.
like-
No.
No, it was like, to me, I thought it was like some people sitting around in the room who had never met a stock trader in their entire life. And like, what's like a thing that stock traders would be overly competitive about? And someone was like, business cards. And they're like, yeah, business cards.
Well,
It's
these
like-
days, maybe it would be
like-
like a new
like
smartphone.
they wanted to explain like it seemed like it was dumbed down, right? It's like, because I think that they would care about like stocks or their portfolio holdings, but if you did a whole scene where they're all comparing portfolio holdings and like getting pissed about that, you'd lose like your
But
base
it's
audience who don't know anything
The
about that.
simplicity and the insignificance of the actual business card
Paper.
and the tension.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
but that's what I'm saying is that like I how could you be
Paper should be respected.
They're like Harvard business grads and Yale business grads and stuff that
Most
any of
tasteful
them
bond.
would be so dumb to care about business. And I know there is stuff like that. I know
Because-
there's like little goofy things, and that there should be like a little goofy thing like that.
You also don't see anybody doing work. He comes into his office,
Yeah.
he sits down, puts his feet up, and plays Jeopardy.
Right.
Like it's
Which is fun.
That is
and
realistic.
I do appreciate like them picking like a thing that's like, okay, what's something that seems so inconsequential, but like our characters can like really care about.
Obsess over.
And like I think that's like an interesting concept. I think there was a way to do it. I don't think
don't like the way
business
it was
cards
done
were
here.
a believable one. I just don't believe business cards.
It wasn't the business cards, it's just the tension between all the characters.
But that goes back into the fact that
I
this
started-
movie's
Yeah,
not
but it was
in
almost-
reality.
it was
I started
almost
sweating
comical.
during that scene. Like, I sweat watching that scene. I was flush
It's just
after.
it's
I'm getting
skirts the line
sweaty.
too much. It's like both goofy and not, and I can't.
Yeah, it's goofy.
Like I can't get a tone. It just doesn't like.
You
It doesn't
can't-
sell. I liked the I'm
But
returning.
that's what I like, is you cannot
like,
figure these scenes out. It's like, what is it trying
That's
to
not.
be
I
and
don't
feel?
want
And you
a
don't like that.
movie.
I
that
like
you can't,
that.
Like that. Nobody can. It's unfigure-outable, right?
You
That
really
like.
might not like Donnie Darko.
Yeah, I think that there's a.
Uh-oh.
I think that may be the case.
Uh-oh.
I think that if
you really might not like
I
that
think
movie.
that like
I'm gonna
if-
say this: I don't expect to like Donnie Darko.
Oh shit!
I'm
I've
excited
heard-
to watch it. Then again, I have watched James' tweeted version of Donnie Darko. Didn't follow it at all. So.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
James. I
James
respect
Liner
you a
did it.
lot. I did not like your Donnie Darko.
Deanna
film.
Darko.
I did not like
Yeah.
it.
What
And
about
it's my favorite movie? So
there
I'm-
was that
sorry.
great actress though at one point, the one that played the mom. I thought she was really good.
I don't remember all of
You
it.
know,
I
she had
just
the long
remember-
black hair.
Tristan played
I-
that.
It's just me in a wig.
I remembered being excited to see it, and then I watched it, and I was severely disappointed.
That was before we were even like close friends
Yeah.
too.
I don't even think I knew that you were in that.
That's because I was so convincing.
I love
It's
Donnie Darko.
transformative role in Tristan's career.
Ooh,
I always
wonder
play a woman in his
if we
hard
should watch
scenes.
the theatrical or the director's cut.
That's up to
Show
you.
you the movie.
It's up to you.
The director's cut is way more clear about.
Then no.
Okay. The
You know,
theatrical. I do recommend watching the theatrical version first. And
I
then
don't
the
think you're.
director's.
I was gonna say because like with Troy, it's hard to find actually, and they don't have an HD version, but we will be watching the theatrical cut because the director's cut is like takes a serious step back.
Yeah.
So
To me, the director's cut of Donnie Darko, I think it's only 20 minutes longer or so,
yeah.
but it explains everything too much to me.
Oh no. Give me
So-
that one. Please, for the love of God, give me that one.
The one that explains things too
I mean,
much.
okay, but here's the thing.
So you can rip it apart.
No. But here's what I'm saying: is like if there is a cut where there's explained things, right? That means that there is an explanation, which I think will come across to me in the theatrical cut.
Should.
What I don't like about things like this movie, whereas that there could not be a cut which explains things more because they didn't even shoot the scenes, they didn't write the scenes. The writer doesn't
didn't
have
have
an
that
answer.
direction.
So how could there ever be a cut that explains things?
True.
And so I think that, that's probably a plus for me. If there is a cut that explains things, that means like, I think, I don't want to like toot my own horn here, but I'm pretty good at picking up on stuff. So if there's a cut that explains things, I'll probably get in the subtler
other
cut,
yeah.
I'll piece it together. Like this, there's no way that you could ever convince me that any of these murders were in Patrick Bateman's head. I don't think
Because
that
the evidence is not
I don't
there
think
in
that's
any way.
ambiguous to me. The parts that are ambiguous are like, his character and like where the descent comes from and like what he cares about, what he doesn't care about.
Mm-hmm.
I think that shifts wildly and has no real answer. And that's the part that bothers me much more than like just the
I like
whole.
that it bothers you.
Yeah.
Because this movie kind of just, like, pokes at you, you know? It's like,
Poke,
this
poke.
is real, this is not, this is the truth. Oh, wait, this is this way. And
Yeah.
But I feel like it's appropriate for what the movie was about.
I don't know.
I liked how during like after each murder,
Yeah.
it cuts to him doing something very cleanliness conscious. Like
Yeah.
going to the tanning bed and making sure he's nice and clean, or going to the dry cleaners and making sure everything
Oh,
happens.
I love that scene in the
I
dry
like that
cleaners.
it just
So, on a movie subreddit, right before we watched this, like 2 days ago, they had slowed down the scene where he's leaving the dry cleaners and talking to that woman, and you can see Christian Bale's face transition from smiling at her while he's turning away and walking out the door to utter disgust.
Yeah.
And you don't really see it in the movie unless you're looking for it, but it's there, and
there's another less subtle moment
Christian
where he's
Bale.
smiling and quickly changes his.
which one?
It's like a split second before it cuts
Yeah.
to a different frame.
Yeah.
And I like those details. But then again, you could just pin that on the acting. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, I see
Um,
why from your standpoint, you're kind of dissecting the script of this movie and the pacing of it and the consistencies because they're not there.
Yeah.
I think the first act is definitely the strongest.
Yeah, me too. I think just like establishing, I think like I had a pretty clear vision in the first act, and then the movie like dismantled that as it went on, and I don't think that was, well, I don't know if they ever cared about the character, and if they did, I think they certainly didn't do it justice. They didn't like follow through with what they established early in the film.
Gotcha.
And I didn't like that. And in some points, I would also say it's direction, because I think that, you know, there are ways in which you could have used this exact like pacing and done, made it make more sense.
Gotcha.
Right? Like, you don't have to have, you know, a gun. You don't have to have the police car blow up. You know, you can just have him shoot at police officers. You don't have to, I mean, like, I love the visual of the chainsaw dropping, but, like, you don't have to have that. You can just have him catch her in the hallway and have whatever. Like, you can still have him carry out the same exact, like, sequence of events.
I think that's
and
what...
like, be a more grounded...
Disagree with you here.
I think that's what lends the movie to being kind of up in the air of whether or not these things are happening because the cop car blowing up or the chainsaw hitting her. What are the actual chances of that happening?
But what are the other options? So it's like, is he completely fabricating two people in his apartment?
No.
Well, so then how does she die in the stairwell? Or does she get out? And then if she gets out, how is she not caught?
That's
right?
a lot more blood to clean up, too.
Yeah, like, you know, what are the other options aside from her being in the stairwell, but also her being in the stairwell? Like, it's the most believable option that he dropped a chainsaw from 6 stories and caught her right at the end, but it's still not believable. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel like you can ever point to saying that's fabricated. It's just, like, kind of sloppy.
I'm okay with it.
For visuals forward. But, like, the rest of the movie doesn't read like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Mm-hmm. It reads...
I loved when he was working out to the sounds of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, and then before it's, like, the pornography. But that's the thing is, like, to me is, like, the whole thing is just, like, okay, here we have this scene... You know, we want to, like, really get across that he's a psychopath. It's like, which we already know because we've seen him kill, like, 15 people.
Right.
So, like, a dedicated scene in which we establish Patrick Bateman is a psychopath, we don't really need, but they're going to put it anyway. And what's, like, a weird, crazy thing to do? Him doing insanely fast crunches with Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the background. And it's like, yeah, that, like, is memorable and, like, an insane thing to do. Or, like, him just, like, talking on the phone with, like, porn in the background.
See, I also think there's a tie in there with things that he's watching. As he takes these like, videos from the video store and he tapes over them with him having sex with women or murdering them.
Yeah.
And that's why there's always something playing in the background, is because these are the tapes that he's gotten.
And, like,
he's
the random tapes that he's... Yeah.
Yeah, when he was filming his... little porno. I really thought that it was going to cut to him. Like, at one point it looked like he was watching the movie on playback. I really thought it was going to cut to him alone watching the movie, but on the screen we were going to see him suddenly murder these 2 women.
Gotcha.
But it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that disappoints me or not.
I like it.
Well, great. There you go. I guess I'm ecstatic about it.
I think this movie is a work of art.
I think that's very strong. I think Christian Bale's performance is a work of art. I think that, like, this is a movie where, like,
I guess it kind of goes back to, you know, like, it goes a little bit back to Hook, though, because Dustin Hoffman's performance in that one
is very good.
Kind of. I think that you and I have very similar feelings with you in this movie and me about Hook. Yeah. If I'm being honest.
That's
I think literally any other actor who, like, pulled off even slightly less than Christian Bale, this movie would be universally panned, except for by psychopaths. But because his performance is so good, you, like, end up with a decent product because like, you can just be like, you know what, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but God, it suddenly, when you're in the scene, it's like a series of scenes about, like, even maybe a person with multiple personality disorder, like going from scene to scene, just being the most wild and crazy serial killer they could be, Christian Bale makes it seem like it's a movie.
I think every other performance in the movie, though.
I don't remember the screen capture that came with the meme all those years ago?
So that's him pointing. That's him having sex.
No, like the one with
okay.
him and the axe and everything.
Oh, that's
I don't remember that in the movie.
That's right before he kills Jared Leto.
But I don't remember him having
About?
There's a bunch of memes.
There's a meme of him smiling with an axe and everything. I don't think he has on the raincoat
he does.
though.
He has the raincoat.
He does?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess
I don't know.
He doesn't have the hood
cool.
up or whatever.
I mean, I also didn't even notice the two women get beat up at one point.
Yeah.
The scene was, I guess, too dark for me to even realize that their noses were bleeding and everything.
So this movie kind of, I guess I don't really want to choose the next movie to watch, but now that I'm thinking about it and the tone that this movie has, it's like the poor man's American Beauty, in a way.
That's a bit weird, isn't it?
I also don't care.
American Beauty, American Psycho.
We have different tastes on it.
But I will say I liked American Beauty much better than this movie, and I think you are right that it is a subtler take on this movie.
Yeah. Not like the Bateman character kind of, but this
but the spacey character in that movie and the Bateman character
having this weird sane insanity.
Where they that like, you know, the conformity and the break from conformity. And
but not necessarily as a likable character.
Yeah, and I think that American Beauty handles that with a lot more subtlety and sticks to the theme more.
And it ends well.
And has sticks the landing a little better.
We're gonna be watching it.
I will give you American Beauty American Beauty was a movie that to me was I think that if I had watched it in the theaters in whatever it was 2005 or 2002 probably when American Beauty came out, I would have been blown away. But now I feel that people have handled that subject matter much better.
Really?
But this movie I didn't. This movie I thought was kind of messy, whereas American Beauty was
we'll talk
just
about
fine.
it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we watch it.
We'll talk about it when we watch it.
And it's been a while since I've seen it, but I think you are right. Speaking of movie comparisons, I did want to bring this up because I noticed a ton of similarities between this movie and the first movie from your list, What's Eating Gilbert Grape. In that, not in terms of theme or anything, but in the way that it was sort of a meandering film that was really a profile of a person more than it was a story. And also the fact that this had narration that presumably was straight from the book, which I thought did not work in this movie. Although you're right, it's the same way that I felt about Gilbert Grape, where it was there's such good prose in this book that really establishes who this character is, who these characters are, that we have to include that prose. And so you talk about that opening scene, and you go, yeah, that really is good writing of him narrating his life and his routine and all that stuff. But is there a better way, because you're in the medium of film, that you go, okay, I know that we really are happy with this prose, but it doesn't make sense to have narration because we abandon it in this movie until when it's useless and it's not narrated to anybody. So why don't we just cut it and be more creative to find ways to say all this stuff without just sticking the narration at the beginning?
I like the narration because it's consistent throughout the movie.
There was long drops of narration.
I feel like there was an entire third with the narration gone.
Yeah,
I think it almost
disappeared.
There's
a very long drop without
One or two lines here and there that they throw in. Where
exactly. It's just.
I like that.
I thought it was more of we haven't had narration for a while, and they suddenly realized it and they put it in.
But I thought they basically only used it when they just were feeling they couldn't
portray.
They couldn't do it, so they're okay, we can't do this. We don't know how to do this. So it became a crutch, and it read to me as a crutch. And also, but in the same way as Gilbert Grape, where I didn't feel I feel I picked up on all that stuff. They didn't need the narration, so it really was just
I feel like the narration was needed a hell of a lot more in this one.
Probably
wasn't
Gilbert Grape, but I thought in both times it just is a trope that we should probably leave behind. And I whatever, it's fine. I don't think we see as much of it anymore, and I don't think we need to, but I think, that's a thing that, if you're making movies, unless you're making, a serious noir, reference movie, just leave it behind. It's not necessary. We're good enough. They were even good enough in this movie, which is a movie that I think had a lot of holes, I think they didn't need it.
I liked it. I think it's
just extra.
comical.
I was it made me more bored because now I don't have to pay attention.
Gotcha.
because I could just close my eyes and listen to the narration and get everything that I'm seeing. Because they're just saying what we're watching. And that's not interesting to me.
I like it. And it's okay. You
yeah.
can not like it, and
It's
I can
okay.
like it. I'm laughing because I'm thinking my top 4,
Yeah.
like in order,
Yeah.
like Donnie Darko, Blue Velvet, American Beauty, American Psycho. They all have this underlying theme of being very
ambiguous.
Yeah.
Can't wait to meet Frank the Bunny.
I am
my
excited.
friend.
I am excited for Blue Velvet. I've heard many good things about Blue Velvet.
See, Blue Velvet though is insane.
Yeah,
And
which I've figured.
Well,
I've
we
heard
would have
that as
known,
well.
but
we would have known. We were supposed to watch it yesterday.
Yeah.
We didn't. Cause
And you know, but to me, it's like if you lean into it like that, like you're like, this is fully what we are, then I think I would appreciate it more.
So that's what David Lynch does. The whole film.
Yeah,
is
it really
like
leans
that.
into it. Whereas this
They
one, I feel
don't-
like it bounces too much.
I understand that. Yeah.
You know, if it becomes more like a performance art piece, but this one is like, I don't think that they only want to be ambiguous sometimes, but it's not clear which times they want to be, which times they don't, and so it reads as messy. But if they if they lean all the way into it, which I assume, you know, from everything I've heard about Blue Velvet, they do lean heavy into it, then that should work more for me, I think, than something like American Psycho.
I guess that was just the director's vision, especially taking from how she directed Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
She wanted the movie to have
which Willem
no
Dafoe, he was
solid
not
tone.
insane in this movie.
Crazy.
Just point figure
Maybe
that I
this
have to
was
make.
all in his mind. No.
Every time I see Willem Dafoe, I just get disappointed we're never going to have him as Norman Osborn
He's
again.
hot.
As the Green Goblin.
Willem Dafoe is sexy,
Okay.
especially in the Florida Project.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. He is sexy in the Florida Project.
Sexy in the Florida
Yeah,
Project.
I was like,
He looks
I couldn't
so
piece it.
good.
But then you said Florida Project, and I thought, oh, all right,
He's
I get
hot
it.
in
I
that
get it.
movie.
That's the one. Yeah, all right, I see it. Yeah,
I
I'll give
do
you
love
that.
Willem
We agree
Dafoe.
on something.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. That's a good movie.
This is not going to lead anywhere,
What?
but guys, don't call Christmas Xmas out loud. Like that's a psychopathic
Merry
tendency. Don't go around saying Merry Xmas, everyone.
Reese Witherspoon is so perfect in that role.
It is cute on cards, I guess, or in a text, but don't say Merry fucking Xmas.
It's supposed to be cringy.
It was cringy.
Good.
Not in a good way. It was terrible.
Good.
I hoped that she died the moment that she said Merry Xmas.
I think it's so funny that he didn't kill her, but he just doesn't care about her at all.
Think
What
it'd
does
be-
he actually say?
I think it'd be funnier if she was a brunette. He kills blondes.
That's funny.
And so he dates a brunette, so he's never tempted to kill her.
That's kind of funny.
But he doesn't. That's not true.
I said Billy Loomis did a better job of hiding that he's a serial killer than this guy.
Who's Billy Loomis?
Scream.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that is true. Which is kind of, and at first it was like taking me out of it, where it was like, how can people not know he's a serial killer? But then,
But it's
then
the
I was
whole
like, but that's the
point.
point of the movie. So like later on in the movie, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Where did
That-
you get that overnight bag?
Yeah, like that.
He's dragging the
eventually-
body through the lobby and the
There's
guy's just
blood
like,
on the lobby!
Yeah, I got it. I pieced it. By the end, I was like, all right, that's the thesis of the film, so I'll give it that. Because
Okay.
I think I'll give it that like it's okay that he's super readable and that nobody notices because that's
his
they're
downfall too.
They're overdoing the movie to get the point across, and I'm okay. I like that as a thesis in the movie. It's just when it like strays from that and does like weirdly messy things that I don't like. I think like if they really like hammered that point, like not necessarily even visually, but like built it in the way they did, but like you take some points away. There was just like
There's
strays
inconsistencies.
from them. Yeah, inconsistencies in the movie that brought it down for me. But I think that central theme is a cool idea, and that there are parts of the movie in which it works incredibly, incredibly well.
agree.
Phil Collins was in this movie too. He's in both in this movie and in Hook.
And in Hook.
So, you know,
I have no
crossovers continue.
no movies with Phil Collins on my top 25.
That's fine.
So more ways that I'm different.
Tarzan.
Tarzan.
We get it, Alex. You're different.
I'm quirky.
That's my note about Patrick Bateman.
One way to avoid getting murdered.
I feel like we need to talk about how
Yeah.
Lewis avoided getting murdered.
If you want to avoid getting murdered,
I was
just,
so sad that was his final scene.
No.
And that if you suspect someone's going to murder you,
Be like, that's
don't
gay.
run away like they're murdering
That's
you.
gay, bro.
Immediately try to fuck them. Because that's what Lewis did, and
Because
he
that's how you're gonna
escapes.
get out. I mean, the women don't.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
yeah.
Just be like, you're gonna murder me? That's
like
really
a
gay.
hyper masculine serial killer like Patrick Bateman.
You're gonna murder me? Oh, that's so good.
Yeah,
Do
that's
it.
super gay of you to want to kill me. And he was like, oh.
I'm gonna wash my gloves.
Yeah. Which is another. I mean, that's just like another like.
That's a street crime, homophobia.
Okay, what's a crazy thing that this murderer can do right now that like has very little basis in who he is as a person? What if he washes his gloved hands? Like, like that's like, yeah, that comes across, you watch it and you're like, wow, that's what a psychopath would do. But it's just like a laundry list of like all the writers sat in a writer's room and like things psychopath killers would do.
I think it's just ridiculous.
I can't believe at no point did he take a shower with socks on. Like that would have been another.
Well, we never actually saw down there. We never saw his actual bare feet, so he could have had socks on.
He could have in some of those showers. No, we did because we saw his ass.
We saw it. The ass is far from the foot.
Yeah, I guess.
So, do you think that we did see Christian Bale's ass?
Ambiguous movies?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's neat.
Definitely Christian Bale's
ass.
ass.
I think so for sure.
Okay.
He's got a really nice ass.
Okay. We saw Batman's ass.
He's a method actor.
Yeah. So is Jared Leto. He's great in this movie too. I love every performance in this movie.
Keep it down. I am trying to do drugs. That's a great line.
I love the I wrote one. I have like 3 notes, and one of them is just they don't have a good bathroom to do coke in. Like that's. You need a reservation somewhere, but you have to make sure that the bathroom
is good enough to do coke in at your lunch
Yeah.
reservation. Yeah.
I mean, they'll always have their glasses absolutely filled with scotch or bourbon, whatever the hell they're drinking.
Yeah.
Doing drugs and Wall Street, baby.
I really admired how the severed head in the freezer was just glossed over. That was nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Remember, if you are going to interact with a severed head, use both hands.
What?
That's what they say. Like, make sure
Who's
that...
they, Tristan? Who's they?
See? Your regular Patrick Bateman.
I know. They?
The voice in my head.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Will, please explain. Please explain.
Anyway, there's no need to explain
Why do
that.
you have to do that?
Because it's like a head is not like it's not very balanced. So it's
Is it
easier.
not? Only one person here has picked up a human head. And Tristan back sitting at this dining room table. Tristan once explained, what was it? The taste of human flesh?
Right, apparently is very tasty.
Yeah,
and like,
apparently.
It's similar to pork.
Apparently.
It's really good pork.
Yeah. And now we're finding out that a human head is not as balanced as you may expect, so you better use both hands. Thank you, Tristan. Tristan's serial killer moment of the week.
It is at least 8 pounds.
At least.
So it's similar. Like, have you ever gone bowling?
I've been bowling.
Well, that's the thing. Like the severed head doesn't have like the 3 thing unless you cut them there.
Use the eyeballs and the nose.
The eyeballs and mouth. Unless you do that, it's not similar to a bowling ball.
Yeah.
I can't.
And I assume they wobble, Tristan.
Probably.
Tristan, when in your house you've set up bones as pins and a human head as a bowling ball?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of this crying girl. Laughing girl, I mean.
Hurt. Oh, my stomach hurts. I'm too hungover for this.
So, I'm just... He looked like someone that was respecting a severed human head. And I respected that.
There you have it, people.
No cuts.
No, I don't have a problem admitting that.
If you want to win Tristan's favor, respect human heads in the way that Tristan respects them.
Okay, I do admit that decapitation is one of my favorite forms of murder. I think that the guillotine would be better off being brought back better than lethal injection.
Oh my god!
I don't know, beheading is a good way to murder and execute someone. Definitely the best method of execution. Decapitation, all the way.
All right.
Just...
There you go. For any of you wannabe serial killers out there.
Or...
Our resident one tells you to try out decapitation.
Just...
All right. Thank you, Tristan.
My body hurts.
You're welcome.
Holy shit. I was not feeling hungover until about 2 minutes ago when I started laughing, and now I can't move or breathe.
Another note that I had was that I'm really glad that the kitten survived the ATM scene.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a weird way to go right after we just discussed my knowledge of holding a human head.
I prefer that older woman being killed over the kitten.
Yeah. She made a valiant sacrifice.
She did.
For the kitten, and that was nice of her.
Too.
Because there are a lot of people who would see a man with a gun pointed at a kitten's head in an ATM and just be like,
what the?
There's no way that I can intervene on this effectively. And she, without a second thought, is like, excuse me, sir.
Not on my watch.
What are you doing?
Let's talk about that sequence really quick before the cop car fiasco of him going into the building, shooting the guy behind the counter, shooting the janitor.
Patrick Bateman is an incredible
shot.
Do you know how hard it is to, number one, to nail a cop car in a gas tank, and to outshoot
like Gale
three...
and Cindy, man. They have these...
He outshoots 3 cops.
Clean headshots.
3 cops, and he's one-handing the pistol. It's like John Wick. And then he walks into her
also on my list.
And he shoot, bam, gets the guy in the head. And then I did talking about weird comedic murdery scenes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When he's going out the spinning door, and then he comes back in an extra loop, blap,
makes a decision. You know what? No, I'm not done here.
Well.
And then keeps going though.
Yeah.
He doesn't stop.
Yeah, which is also very difficult to do.
He's skilled.
See, how do you know that?
I've shot guns before, not at people, at targets.
See, he also knows suspicious facts.
It's not the balance of a human head.
I don't know this for sure. It's just what I've read.
Yeah, it's what the emails from his serial killer club said.
It's okay. I really like the scene where Christian Bale is being covered in blood after killing Paul Allen. He takes the raincoat off and he sits there with a cigar with his fucking hair all messy and bloody. Yeah. Okay, if we're sharing Ruth, I love being covered in blood. I will take advantage of it anytime that I can. Right. I was so disappointed that I was the only one in Fancy Feast who did not get covered in blood.
That's not true. Josh didn't get covered in blood. Brooke didn't get covered in blood.
I was trying to figure out how at any point in your life you've been covered in blood.
Multiple times.
Yeah, but fake. This is fake
when
blood,
I was born, too.
Yeah.
Gross.
This is fake blood.
This is fake blood she's talking about.
Yeah,
I was born like Boss Baby in a full-blown
Someone
suit.
did
you should be careful saying that stuff around Tristan, because he's going to cover you in real blood
because we filmed a trailer for a show that I did, and we needed fake blood. Yeah. And my friend found 2 gallons of fake blood at a homeless camp that was abandoned, and I poured it on myself. So, that may or may not.
Was a mistake. Because there's no reason that a homeless camp would just have 2 gallons of fake blood lying around. I just don't see why they would. Why would they spend that money on...
Maybe they found it.
I was on set yesterday for Weird You.
Yeah.
And we have, at one point, I guess slight spoilers for Weird You. At one point, the janitor beats a zombie to death with a walking...
into the discussion.
Yeah.
At one point, there's a janitor that beats a zombie with a walking stick, and he gets blood all over it. So we had to cover it in blood and everything. And then another person on set said, "Oh shit, I think I just cut myself." My first instinct was, "Okay, then add it to the staff, please."
Okay, so I was made fun of a lot at a convention one time. I was doing a cosplay from The Walking Dead, and I was up on the roof, like making my costume all dirty.
I thought you were going to say cutting yourself.
No, I was rubbing my shirt in the gravel on the roof because there was a lot of dirt up there, and I don't know, I just had to go up there. Because I also didn't want people to see me, rubbing my clothing in dirt.
Yeah.
And I, cut my arm open doing it, and I was like, well, and I, dripped it all over the shirt. And I was walking around the convention hall, and they're like, wow, that shirt looks really good. What did you use? And I'm like, it's my blood.
See, I think that's... I think that's really good. I think that someone on set, if you cut yourself, you should be required to contribute.
I agree.
Not to the community blood. You should not. For yourself, if you cut yourself, and it's for your scene, you put on your shirt...
No, I'm talking
maybe.
It was on the staff.
But you don't just cut yourself and then find here's the fake blood picture we're using and just squeeze it on out.
We're authentic filmmakers.
That's illegal at the very least. All right, this is pretty far off topic.
Let's keep moving, yeah.
I think we may be close to time.
I said that, when the fun facts begin, the fun sort of ends. When the fun facts begin, the fun sort of
that's
ends.
True.
Okay.
That's
true.
Patrick
I like
Bateman.
that.
Yeah. If you could describe what they were doing before as fun, which I might not.
I just loved whenever he's like starts saying a fun fact. I'm like, oh, here we go.
And I don't know, drinking a nice Chardonnay. It's a very fine Chardonnay that you're not drinking.
I wish we had seen more of that redhead chick.
I love her.
Like,
I fucking love her.
I would have liked to see more of her in that movie.
She's so funny. It's his peak hours right now. It's true. 3 a.m. is peak drug dealer hours.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Some of us are not druggies. We don't know this.
But you would think that.
Well,
it would be hard
speaking from experience of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when everyone's making the call.
Yep.
All right. Any more notes from you?
No. I think I'm good to give my
You want to
rating.
shit on it anymore?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool.
What did you just ask him?
Do you want to shit on it anymore? I'm okay with it. Like, I love...
Yeah, I would hope so.
So I was going to say earlier, and I don't know if I actually did, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but, like, prior to doing these movie discussions with you guys, I would have never looked at this movie the way that you're looking at it, but I totally agree with everything that you're saying. But it's nice that it still doesn't muddy the way that I feel about the film.
Well, that's how you decide, is this really supposed to be on top 25 of your favorite movies?
I'm keeping it. I might knock it down a few, but I love this movie still. It's just kind of interesting seeing it from such a solid, different perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Of course, Alex's fucking argument is going to be solid.
Like, but even watching it before we discussed it, I was noticing new things that I wasn't okay with. Because we've been talking about movies and what makes a really good film, and I'm just like, well,
look at that,
I
we're
gotta
learning.
Analyze this movie, so this is making me a better critic, I guess, or.
Not that the world needs any more film critics, but
no.
Well, whatever. Not that the
we're
world needs any more actors.
critics. Yeah, that's right. We're personalities.
All right, so I guess it's time for a final grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What did I give Power Rangers? Does anybody remember?
I think you gave it
to Power Rangers?
I think you gave it a C-.
That was generous of me.
Could have been a D+ though.
I think we both gave it C's. Maybe D+, maybe C-.
Far too generous. I'll give this movie.
I gave Princess Bride a D.
I will give this movie a C+.
Okay, cool.
For its very strong portions, and Christian Bale's performance. So I get a C+.
That's crazy. I give it a C+.
Wow.
Yeah. You and I are agreeing.
I give it. I'm giving it an A. I love this movie.
All right.
Not an A+. Maybe an A-. Yeah. No, I'll go with A.
Yeah,
it is.
Give it the A.
I adore this movie.
I gave Hook an A+.
I adore this movie.
No, you're not allowed to say that. The puns are my territory.
Okay.
Stay the fuck out of my territory.
I was going to try to burp, but it didn't work.
No.
All right, well, I lost 3 years off of my life laughing during this video.
Sorry.
Yeah. If you want to watch a really weird, beautiful, ambiguous film,
watch E.T.
Stick with my list. If you like things like this.
Yeah.
I don't like E.T.
Early 90s film, meandering, ambiguous film.
What year is this? This was not 90s.
2000.
2000.
Yeah.
So.
But it takes place in 1987.
Yeah. Whatever.
But yeah.
90s-ish.
That's it.
All right. Cool.
Thanks
all right, bye, guys. Remember, subscribe and like and share and all that good shit.
Wait.
Oh, boy.
Wait. We have to sign out.
With what?
Hold on.
We're gonna play an ad lib first. I don't. It's getting copyrighted. We can play like 12 seconds of.
What?
It's hip to be square.
Yeah.
That's a myth. Can't actually do that.
We can't play any seconds of it.
Not really, unless we were like.
Bummer.
That's too bad. Anyway.
Never mind. I guess there goes our monetization. Turn that off. Turn it off. I better cut quick.